Officials are on high alert to stop those trying to cross the Beitbridge border without documentation. Volumes at the border post are expected to increase. Let's get an update now from our reporter Manqoba Mchunu, who is at the border crossing for us. Manqoba, a little earlier on you were giving us visuals of SANDF members who looked hard at work in terms of nabbing those who don't have documentation or maybe bribes. Just tell us what was happening there.
Indeed, Masiko, well, this is part of that operation by the Home Affairs Department as well as the South African National Defence Force to try and make sure that the borders are well protected over the festive season. They're beefing up security across here at the Beitbridge Border post. And yesterday, Masiko, we did see them going to the fence and really checking on those that were coming into the country illegally. We also saw them going to one of the spots where many of those that are coming into the country that are perhaps going over the Limpopo River were stationed. We did see a camp that was set up there by some of those undocumented immigrants where they ferry goods as well as people and smuggle people basically into the country. But also we got to see just the large scale or the extent of the damage that has been caused to the border fence itself. This is where they usually would gain entry to come or to leave the country. So really officials saying that they are going to be tightening law enforcement around the border this Easter weekend, of course, as part of their operations. But I can tell you, Masiko, that it hasn't been that busy on the roads today. We haven't seen quite a lot of movement in terms of people going and coming into the border. But we do know that the police are, of course, on high alert. They are actually here stationed near the border. There's a roadblock that's happening here behind us. Just to show you, Ling and Dabambi will move just to show you those visuals, Masiko. So they're really checking on compliance, they're checking on permits, and they're really checking whether those that are on these vehicles do have the proper documentation. Of course, one of the issues that has come in fact, from the arrest that we saw yesterday is the fact that many of those that were arrested, these were people that were here in the country without having any proper documentation. In fact, yesterday, Masiho, I even spoke to one of them, and this is what he had to say about why he was found here by the police.
We are here because we are just trying our life here. That's why we are being arrested here, because of our situation, that side. You understand? It's not our choice to be here, but just that our country is not stable right now. You see? That's why we are being deported right now, because of our situation in our country. Just trying to survive. We are not doing any criminal activities here. Just come and buy our stuff and go back home. That's it. That's what we are only doing here.
Quite devastating to hear from that man saying that they don't have a choice but to do that. And I think at the moment, Manqoba, we still have that problem with people coming through by swimming with crocodiles in that river.
Indeed, Masiko, and I think, it was shocking to see just the number of people that were actually there at that harbour. It's called Harbour Number 3. That's where the officials had pounced in yesterday. It's, of course, one of many. We do understand that there are about 3 or 4 of these informal or illegal harbours that will have boats ferrying people across the crocodile-infested Limpopo River. And this speaks to the desperation, of course, of many on the other side of this border to come to the country. But of course, officials saying that this is quite worrying to see that this continues. And in fact, what was more worrying, Masiko, was the fact that while officials had burnt and destroyed some of the items that were found there, just minutes after they had left, when they had moved to another site, we did see those illegal immigrants then making their way back. So it is quite a big business for them. We do understand that they make anything from 500 Rand up until 5,000 Rand in trying to, in fact, in moving people and goods across this particular spot. So it is a big problem that is currently facing the Home Affairs Department, and they are saying that they're going to be trying to deal with this particular issue. We do know that there is a border management authority that will also be launching, or that will be also helping in terms of manning the border, the porous border that is. But of course, Home Affairs officials saying that they're going to continue this weekend. They've warned people not to come to the border if they do not have the right documentation. But as far as these law enforcement activities are concerned, there's certainly a lot of law enforcement officials. There's immigration officers that have been deployed across this border. And we do understand that in the country, it's about 634 of them that have been deployed at the various ports of entry, and they'll be beefing up security during this festive or during the Easter weekend, Masigo.
And just very quickly and lastly, Manqoba, we know that during the Easter long weekend, there's usually quite an influx of people moving around on our roads. Just paint us a picture of how it's been looking there at the Beitbridge Border post. Has there been a lot of traffic or not really?
Well, Maseko, not really this time. In fact, I'm going to ask my colleague Linge just to show you this stretch of road that leads to the Musina Beitbridge Border post here, so that you can just have a picture, Maseko. It is very quiet. In fact, you can count the number of vehicles that are here on the road, and it's mostly smaller or sedan cars that we're seeing on the road. There hasn't been a lot of trucks that we're seeing, a lot of buses that have been moving, and I guess many people who are hoping to make it home for the Easter weekend would have traveled yesterday or overnight to their various destinations. I can tell Masiko that in fact it is just quite a handful of people that are here, and I spoke earlier on to some of the motorists. They've been saying also that just driving here to the border, it's been smooth sailing. There hasn't been many problems on the road. It's quite clear, and the drive to the border has not been really a bad one, Masiko. You recall, of course, that over the past few months, we have seen quite huge numbers of people that were traveling on the border, and also the chaos that had happened here when the trucks were stuck at a particular time in December of 2020. But we're not seeing those scenes here. In fact, the trucks are being processed. They are moving through the border quite fast. And I can tell you, Masiko, that officials also told us that they're not expecting to see a large number of people traveling in and out of the country this time around. I don't know what may be the reason for this, but it doesn't appear, Masiko, at this point that there's a lot of movement that's happening here at this particular border.